Normally we've done this in past years off-site. This year, because it's winter, although to Canadians it doesn't seem like winter, we're going to do it inside right here in this room this afternoon. Go to lunch, come back at 1:30. We'll be doing things from 1:30 to 5. There are 18 different activities led by volunteers. I should say these are all experiments in a way. I've kind of asked them, pushed them to try something new and different that might be hard. So it may involve a lot of problem solving, and they're going to need not just your hands and your physical labor, but your engineering skills, your artistic creativity, every kind of problem solving technique you can to create things. And I'll run quickly through them. This is our tentative plan for what's going to happen while we eat lunch. The round tables will disappear. A bunch of other things will be set up both here in this space and also out in the lobby. I have 18 different things planned. I'm just going to very quickly run through them so that you'll be aware to go look for things. But I recommend you try and sample a bunch of things. Find things that interest you, but also things that you might learn from. The people that are leading these activities are, in some sense, experts in those areas. So see what they're up to, talk with them, add to the discussion, and just get involved and have fun. So very briefly, some of them are group constructions. Dick Esterly has made these plastic pieces, space chips. This year he has a cardboard version with a die cutter. You may have seen this, and quite a few things are either in the sales room or in the display room in some form. But I think up in the display room, there's a die cutter you can put on cardboard, do a rolly thing, and get these pieces. He wants to make a version of this large out of recycled cardboard, and maybe other things will happen. And as with all the things, you can also experiment and play. Chaim Goodman Strauss is going to make a version of this thing called the Klein Kortik. I'll let him explain it to you, but basically there'll be several large plastic versions of this, and it requires you to assemble pieces and do careful weaving and putting nuts and bolts together, etc. You're all familiar with the hat. We're going to try and make some sort of world record hat construction in terms of the amount of floor in this room that there has ever been a hat. So we've got paper pieces. They don't just go down like tiling rectangles. There's a kind of a pattern to what you have to do to not jam up. So part of that is understanding that pattern, become part of that. I should say Scott Worthman and David Hall will be leading that. Chaim has prepared the pieces ahead of time. Last year, Robert Fathauer did a fractal dragon curve. You've involved folding a strip of paper in half and a half and a half, and then unfolding it to 90 degrees. He thought he would go a step further this year and take a piece of paper and fold it in a third and a third, and then unfold it to 120 degrees. And in theory, we get an arrowhead curve. So the plan is to take a long strip of stuff, do all that folding, and create a big one on the floor. You may have seen Edmund Harris has things, and somewhere in this room, curvahedra pieces that connect together. This is a large metal one. He's devised a new system involving cutting wooden pieces that are going to snap together. He has a lot of them. In theory, you can make something big. I think he told me yesterday the biggest thing he's actually made so far is a tetrahedron. So it's going to be up to you to expand that to a new size. Paul Hildebrandt and a group of people from Zone Tool have a lot of pieces, and they want to make a model. It's described here as 15-dimensional, but it'll probably really be 3-dimensional, but a projection from 15 dimensions that makes an interesting 2-dimensional projection. I think that involves lots of hands helping in lots of different ways. Go and learn that. Akio Huzume has a tower, in theory, 3 meters tall. It involves the phyllotaxis pattern of many plants and pine cones, etc., but also kind of scaled to be kind of an arch, catenary arch, and involves a lot of pieces with slots that, in theory, just slide together, match the numbers, and it instantly magically appears. I expect it will be trickier than that. Most tricky, most ambitious project award this year, Janine Mosley wants to make a cardboard Hoberman sphere. So this is going to scissor open and closed from about 3 feet to roughly twice that size, involving cardboard and duct tape. I suspect that's going to need a lot of hands. make that work. Palladies Eleftherios has plans for a mobile that involves creating these paper pieces, polymorphisms of the elasticity it's called, and they're going to have to be partly assembled and made into a mobile that the structure represents how they kind of transform from one to the other. Elizabeth Heathfield and I will lead a cardboard construction, a sculpture made out of cardboard pieces that pretty much just snaps together and you hold it together with clips, and it's sort of like instant sculpture, but it probably takes longer than that. Okay, so those are all large group constructions. Takes many people. You might participate in that for a while, then do some other things, and over time they will grow. The next set of activities are things that you can make and take home with you. So Carolyn Yakel and Bobby Strecker have a new system I've never tried or seen before of making polyhedra models, where it turns out you can buy these little tile spacers that tile people use to keep square tiles from not touching too close. And if you find the right coffee stirrer, it exactly matches the slide on, and they cost like a penny each when you buy them by the thousands. So it's a way to make polyhedra where 4 things meet at every vertex on a fairly large scale. In theory, very quickly and easily. Find out. Phil Webster, you may have seen some of his lamps in the sales room. He has plans for a small kind of nightlight size table lamp. This is just a mock-up of the materials, but it'll involve a little battery-powered candle lamp and a structure that you put over it and can optionally color. Robert Becker, also in the sales room, has hypertiles that snap together in various ways. He has plans for some structures you can make, and you can also sort of free-form experiment to make larger things or different things. Probably most people are familiar with hexaflexagons, except that you really shouldn't say that because there's always new generations that aren't. If you're not familiar with the hexaflexagon, so that you become one of the people who can say to everyone, of course you're familiar with the hexaflexagon, you should go to this activity. Martin Gardner made them famous, and they're really kind of cool and surprising. Sarah Hart is going to make, or going to let you make, a limerick book. It's hard to describe all this in a minute, but it involves many options by taking a poem and slicing it on different pages so that you can choose which line of which page you want to have. So you end up with this case 1,024 different limericks, including a page of ones that you can make. It's modeled on a famous Oulipo book of 10 million or 10 billion poems. And then some things that are harder to classify. Roger Kimball is an expert juggler, and he's going to have a juggling table which we've planned to be as far as possible from the house of cards in case any balls go escaping. So it'll be way down there. If you're a beginner, come learn some beginning steps. If you're more advanced, talk about site swap notation and do some fun things. You may have seen Aaron Siegel has some 3D printed puzzles designed by Stuart Coffin and others. There will be a table with those. Take them apart, put them back together. And finally, Vince Matsko has created the, I always forget, the Amazifying Pentadeca Kappa Puzzle-a-thon, which you received in your welcome bag. I'm supposed to remind you that answers for that can be delivered to Vince somewhere. Is Vince here to remind me where? Yes. Right, oh, to Vince in person. Whoever's standing there, hand them your answers if you want to get into the contest. So there will be a table where people can get together and discuss those puzzles, discuss puzzles in general and how easy and how hard and different ways to solve them if you enjoy pencil and paper type puzzles. Okay, so I will end there. Again, this room, starting at 1:30, I sent an email to all the activity leaders, but just to remind you, you can, if you're a leader, you can come in at 1 o'clock to help set up your materials. All normal people should not, just have a fun lunch until 1:30. Thank you.